is we have our meetings in the open and we let people at the Synergy Network, we let people, kind of learn along with us.
Mm-hmm.
And, what we're really hoping for is that we show everybody that we can make mistakes along the way and they learn from us. And it's a higher form of business development and a higher form of learning. And everybody, I'm going to introduce to you Gary Robinson, who is with Inside Line Marketing. Gary is an old dear friend of mine, and we were catching up about some different things. And he was getting involved in our CBD business, and it was kind of like tennis doubles, where it was like I got it, or I thought you had it, and we both missed it. And the point that I want to make here, and I told Gary, I said, let's go live and let's just talk about it, because even the pros miss it. I've been marketing since, Christ was a child, 1981. And Gary said that he got his first marketing degree in 1984, right?
83.
So between us, we got like 80 years of marketing experience. And, here it is. We've got this business thing that we're going back and forth on, because Gary's got a ton of reach and he is good at selling things. And I reached back and told him, hey, you should sell this CBD products, high-end luxury brand. And I'm buying the company and it would be really cool. And he said, yeah, I want to. We lost the connection. And if you have trouble staying in contact with your clients, don't feel bad, because, we're doing it.
And it's good to know that I'm not the only one that uses a Law and Order.
Is that you on that too?
I actually use the chunk for text messages. That's my text message. So we're connected that way.
I've got that, but I also have the motorcycle revving sign for my text messages.
Oh, well, that's good.
So everybody's texting with me and I'm driving in the car, thinks I'm riding a motorcycle. But, it is so critical in business to keep that conversation going, to keep that, thing alive in front of your customers, because they forget, especially real estate agents and mortgage people right now, they need every deal that they can get.
Mm-hmm.
And then they turn around and it's like, oh, you bought a house and you didn't think of me. It's like, oh, sorry. It's people forget.
Yeah, I agree.
And so what we really need to do is hear that.
Oh, yeah.
What we really need to do is make sure that we're developing these systems that allow for our customers to stay in front of their clients, and we were talking about drip email earlier. And the number one rule that I have on drip email, if anybody on my staff is working a drip campaign for anybody, you're not allowed to have any scroll lines.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any scroll lines on the side of your email that's going out, it's too long.
I agree.
Because we try to do these verbose newsletters. The only thing that does is gets people to unsubscribe.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have the bandwidth nowadays to be reading all that. It needs to be one photo with a link to a landing page.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Here's a picture of the sidewalk when it was all dirty, and here's a picture of it while it was clean. And if you want to watch the 3-minute video of us washing the sidewalk, go to this landing page, and then you can subscribe to the drip email campaign, knowing it's just going to be before and after pictures of these services.
You know, I kind of equivocate a lot of those things when people send a marketing email and it's just got going down and down. You got to read through 2 articles to see what it is. It kind of reminds me of some of those coupon books you get in the mail, or the home improvement ones that have had like 20 pages of ads. If you're not on the cover, I'm not opening it. I'm not going to surf through 30 pages of half-page coupons to look for it. I'm not, hey, this looks like a good cover. Okay, fine. I'll look at that. After that, it's just, no, sorry.
Well,
It's recycled.
The other problem is we throw them in the trash.
Recycle.
We delete them. We throw them in the trash. But what I've found is if you have a good, solid drip campaign that has good, funny videos on it, and 30-second video, people save that because they want to see what it looks like. Oh, the guy's redoing his lawn. And then so they don't delete the email, they just let it go read. But then if it's time and they need to do a roof, then they're like, oh, who's that guy that sends out the roofing videos?
Yep. You made a good impression.
Before and after roofing. And it's like, oh yeah, I'll look it up, roofing. And then it comes up, goes to the landing page, and here's the guy's number. I could do it at a poker table. When I'm at the poker table, it's, oh, you need a roof? Here's my guy. And our job is to make the content fun.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make it something that people like to listen to, that makes it useful for them. Like I've got a couple of college girls right now that are working on scripts that you and I were talking about, the artificial intelligence. So we've got artificial intelligence copywriters writing scripts for college girls that are doing TikTok videos to do backstream for insurance agents. It's crazy.
Yeah, it just exploded.
Crazy. But it's affordable media, and I've been in the media business long enough to where everyone used to tell you to make your phone go this way because it's letterbox format, and that's what you need to do in advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you something. The new way
is that way.
Because people aren't doing on their phone anymore. They're doing, or on the computer anymore. They're doing
it on their phone.
On their phone.
Yep. That's for a developing website. When you see a website and it doesn't work on a phone, it's like, you've lost about 70% of your audience.
That is critical. If you don't have a website that's geofenced and optimized for mobile, you're leaving out what, 80%, Gary?
Yeah, I would say 70 to 80 is the latest. Is probably the most recent I saw the figures. Saying 80% of your people, or up to 80%, are going to dump that and move on to the next if they can't go through your website on a phone with minimal issues. And I've seen some websites that you can't even see the name of the company. It's like cut off. So you don't really even know if you're on the right website yet.
Yeah, those are boomer websites. I tease the millennials when I talk to them. I have Gen Zs and millennials that are doing business, and I tell them, look, you may not believe this or not. However, we used to print out the internet onto a piece of paper and then deliver it to everyone's house. They called it a newspaper. I don't know if you've ever heard about that, but then we'd print everything on the internet onto a piece of paper. And if your, message that you're trying to get out is above the fold of that piece of paper, then, people would see it. Otherwise, if you're on page 39 of that, forget it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't realize that it's the same thing now with the phones.
Yep.
If you don't catch them in the first 5 seconds or the first 10 seconds, you're done.
Exactly.
They're not going to read what you're presenting,
Mm-hmm.
And one of the fatal flaws when I'm coaching my media people especially some of my businesses that do their own content creation, and we do a $400 a month support service just on content creation at Marketing Hope, and that's business entrepreneurs that are making their own content. So they're going on TikTok, they're going on YouTube, they're making their own content. And one of the lessons that we teach is you are just 3 adjectives away from losing a viewer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they get that video on TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever it is, if you say, have you ever found out that you have a blah, blah, blah widget, whatever it is, but it's too expensive. It costs too much. It's draining your budget. Go for that 4th adjective. You're gone. They don't care. They don't want to hear it. You have to let them know what you're doing or they will click forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once you say some stupid adjective, 4 times, they're like, look, I don't have any time for you.
Yep. And I think the biggest thing is it used to be, there was the day when websites were younger, to be able to tell what your product was, kind of really blow it up and give a whole little design of it. But now we're in the land of immediate gratification, where people, if they're going to go to your website, they went there because they were interested in what you had to offer. They want to know how they're going to be benefited right off the bat, not 3 pages down the line.
Well, I submit to you that I'll take what you say, agree with it, and I'll take it one step further.
Okay,
Gary, because what I'm going to say is now we used to go find out about a company on their website, their
Mm-hmm.
about page, what they had to offer. No more. By the time they get on the website, they're interested in one thing. What's the phone number? I've already decided to buy from you guys. I don't need any more information. What's the phone number?
That's a really good point.
Because social media has already made the pitch.
Now, do you think what's phone number? Do you think having the contact us button on there right away to contact us
First
phone
thing
number,
they should see.
The actual phone number?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And, it depends on what kind of business it is, but if it's a restaurant, you need to have the ordering apparatus, the delivery pop, and talk to a real person to order a meal or make a reservation. And, if it's a chimney sweep type company that cleans out chimneys, if you don't have a number of somebody that's sitting by that cell phone saying, hey, Joe, I'm the chimney sweep. How can I help you? How much is it? It's $150. We'll come by tomorrow. Perfect. That's where a lot of businesses are losing out. They want their customers to do too much work to get to them.
I agree.
And you have to give it that human touch because people are sick of it. People are sick and tired of trying to call up a doctor's office. And you're on hold for a half an hour and you're like, why on earth can't I get some service?
And the phone trees, they've just unreal. Some of them are unreal. And they all have the same thing. We've changed. They want to get you to hang on. So they've got to do that lame ass message. We've changed our menu options. So please listen to the entire message. It's like, really?
Yeah.
You're the 30th call that said this. Everybody's changing their menu options this week.
Well, some of
amazing.
the bigger ones are even doing the keys on the computer. Oh, let me transfer you. Click, 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 like it's a real person.
Oh my gosh.
It's not, and I think that is the cable company, whatever it is.
They still have cable companies?
Yeah. Who am I thinking? Cox.
Dish. Oh.
Cox Cable. And it's just like, what are you trying to fool, please. But
a canned voice with a canned computer.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's absolutely crazy.
That's precious.
But for me, I put a cell phone in the trucks for the guys, and everybody's on call to man that phone call. If you're in a truck driving around town and like you're an electric company, the guys need to be answering the phones. They need to say, "Hey, yeah, we can look into that. You can sign up an appointment online, or I'll just call you back when I'm done driving." Customers appreciate that. My computer went to sleep. But combining that technology, and doing, it's like we were talking about with the CRM. You were telling me something about a funnel product that you like to do.
Well,
which one do you use?
Well, I created, I use Go High Level and I white labeled it. That's where it started. So I offer that to customers of ours to build that, basically that CRM, and build text messaging, a text message program, a missed call text back, which has gotten really successful, as well as just building the CRM off of every call that comes in. It literally goes into their CRM immediately, whether they pick it up or they don't.
And what do you charge over at Inline for that?
Inside line.
I keep thinking you're a hockey guy and you're not.
No. Cycling, that'd be the inside line. So what do we charge for the missed call text back? Just that feature and building the CRM and everything. It's just $99 a month. That's it.
Okay.
And, one of the things that a good example is one person I sold this to. He was a tree trimmer, just one man shop. And, sometimes he's missing calls, it goes, but when people are going onto Google or whatever, and they're searching for tree trimmers or tree arborists, they're just going to go down the list, and they're going to, they're not going to like land on one and say, okay, he didn't get his call. I'll wait all day for him to return his call. So he was telling me, he was missing anywhere from probably 3 calls a day that he never got a repeat call back, but sometimes did not get a message.
Because they move on. The customers move on.
Right. So all this does is immediately text them back. It automatically gives them a text back. Hey, thanks for calling. Thanks for calling John with, what was it? Castle Pines Arborist. How can we help you? And so they end up texting back. It starts a conversation, and it literally will take them through a drip funnel through that of, would you like to, it literally could book an appointment. It'll take them all the way through. Would you like us to call you back? Is another way. It'll break apart in different options depending on how he answers the next few texts. So, $99. And I was basically saying, so you're going to miss a couple calls a day. Let's say you miss 7 calls a week, just for argument's sake, 1 a day. How many of those do you think might have been potential sales? And he said, okay, I'll say half, 3 or 4. What's the sale worth to you? His average sale for tree trimming or stuff he does, his average was about $750 gross. And so if that would have cost you, possibly you've missed $2,100, $2,100 to $2,200 gross. Is it worth $99 to have a shot at every one of those calls? So That was a pretty easy answer. But it's cool that the way we design it, it engages the customer into a conversation. And people like texts sometimes a lot more than phone calls. So when you get a text back, they'll answer the text back.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That's definitely the preferred method for a lot of those people.
Mm-hmm. And then, when he's up in the tree, he couldn't answer the phone. That is showing up not only in his live text, because that text, the Twilio number we set him up with, forwards to his phone, but also has an app on his phone that records all the conversation, and he can look it up, and anything tied to that number, if the name is tied to that number in whatever in the Google sphere, that name will pop up too. If they leave a message at one point, that recorded message will show up on his phone in the app. So it's pretty cool.
I like it. And, it's just all the modern ways that we need to be customer focused to get business. And what do you think about this, Gary? And I don't have a lot of chances to ask this question because normally I'm answering this question, but you have your pulse on a lot of these small businesses that we work with. What do you think's going on with this recession and the inflation and small businesses combating that? I'll let you answer, and then I'll tell you what my thoughts are. But what's your thought of the way things are going right now?
This is embarrassing to say, but I've never been reactionary to whether, kind of all the, when people see inflation. Well, we've always had a degree of inflation in the economy. That's just growth, period. Now, obviously, this ups and downs the drastic ones are pretty psychotic, but so much of it is controlled, I want to say, by the puppeteers. But in a way, it is when you see right before an election, wow, surprise, we have an election coming up. Gas prices are going down. What a shocker. We've seen that. So much of that is just manipulated and controlled. And I don't mean to put a foil hat on, but I've just, over the years, I think I've grown numb to it and realize, you don't sell your stock when the market's going down. You don't. That's when you buy it. So when there's when you're hearing, when everybody's talking about, oh, it's a bad economy, it's tough on everybody, you're just hearing the overwhelming umbrella, that's when I think you should be busting your ass. That's the same mentality as buying low, selling high. You want to go really strong, you want to ride the wave, you've got to get in there and do the work and really bust your tail when the market or the economy is weak. Because when it's strong, if you've been busting your tail during a weak economy and is succeeding, you're just going to ride the wave. You're going to be on top of the wave or in front of it, riding it when it does. And it will always go up. It always goes up and down. There's always going to be up and downs. There always have been. So that's kind of my mentality. So I tend not to be reactionary. You're not going to see me running around going, we're all going to die. We're all going to die and wait for, Oz to bail us out here. It's just not going to. That's not going to happen. I just tend to put a lot of the negative crap especially when you see it on the news. And, we said earlier in a conversation that people that maybe have a college degree, but they haven't experienced life, it's hard to listen to them. I can't listen to any newscaster that's never held a real job. I can't listen to any politician that's never held a real job or owned a business.
I get that.
Even speak to me.
I totally get what you're saying there.
And those are the ones saying, we've got a really bad economy. How do you know? How do you freaking know? From your office in New York or Washington, D.C., you can see what's going on in Colorado?
Here's what I know. 5 years ago, pizza was $15 and gas was $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
And today, pizza is $30 and gas is $3. And just pick your poison. McDonald's lunch, when you take your grandson through the McDonald's thing, I mean, it's $25. It used to be $12.
We've lost, I'll tell you, I will go off of that and just kind of take that one. That is one scenario in itself. We have lost I don't want to say work ethic, isn't it? It's the culture of the way our workforce is. When I turned 16, I couldn't wait to get a job. And I knew that was going to be fast food, or back in the day, and this shows my age, I could also work at a gas station pumping gas. Yes.
Right.
The dings would roll. They roll over the little hose. The ding, you ran out, you pump the gas, and you clean their windshield.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were the entry-level jobs. But now, when it's so easy to drop out of school and you're seeing this total culture shift, it just amazes me to hear the comment that just blows my mind every time I hear it. It's impossible to raise a family working at McDonald's. Well, damn right. Yeah. So the people that are allowing that to happen and raise this minimum wage up to $20 an hour in some areas, working at McDonald's, the backlash is they're not going to run it. It was meant for an entry-level job position. That's how the whole McDonald's, that's how it was formed. The fast food industry was formed it was a mecca for entry-level jobs.
It was for high school kids.
Exactly. Your first job. But grow up to be a success. I would have never thought. I mean, I would have laughed if I would have ever seen a 25-year-old working at a McDonald's. It's like, you don't have any ambition to go past this?
Well, and I
So
agree with
that's a culture thing.
I agree with what you're saying, but what I'm trying to approach is more of an entrepreneurial stage.
Mhm.
When I set that up as far as things cost a lot more right now, what I'm trying to figure out for our small businesses and how many customers they get is the average employer 5 years ago. I think you could say, hey, that guy's doing well. He's making $97,000 a year. You know, he's got a good job and he's doing well, or she's doing well. But then fast forward, you know, where used to be a taxi cab ride to the airport was $30. Now it's $90 Uber, you know, and what the W-2 jobs are not doubling. You know, that guy had a really good job, or that lady that had a really good paycheck job at $97,000. They didn't say, "Oh, let's get you to 200." You know, prices have gone up. Let's get you to 200. They didn't. You know, those people are making 140 or 120, and the ends are not meeting at the house.
Right.
So we got to start small businesses, and we got to be able to charge commensurate charges. That means we have to have more business coming in. You know, marketing, you know, people like yourself and I need to get these trade businesses to get more customers.
Exactly.
And, you know, like I called my regular guy who does stuff for me, landscape stuff for me, and him and his family are doing the Christmas tree lights. You put Christmas tree lights on your house?
We have some lights. Well, all of ours are in garland, actually. We do our own. It's all garland. It's with lights in the middle of the garland. It's all old school. Let me tell
our
yard is more, It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah. A lot of bows and a lot of garland.
Well, my lights on my house are like just a regular lights around the gutters, and then you know, a couple of trees. And it was $1,200 to buy the lights and have them hung up last year. And so now I took them down. I got them. So I called my guy and I said, hey, what, you know, I called the neighbor. They're having theirs done. How much money to put up your lights? $700 to put up the lights and $290 to take them down. That's what one of my neighbors said. I reached out to my other guy and I said, hey, how much do you want to do? Because he's starting his new business or whatever. And it's funny. He's texting me back right now. He said it was going to be $250 a linear foot or something like that. And I got 250 feet easy.
Yeah.
So it was like 800 or 900.
250 a foot. That's crazy.
For Christmas tree lights. And I nailed down another kid, the kid that sold me the lights. And I said, how much is it going to be this year? I wanted to give the business to this other kid, but, you know, he's like 6 hours between calls. You know, he's just saying, hey, buddy, I just got off. I'm going to have to measure, whatever. And it's like, I've already done this deal with this other kid for $450 for putting them up and taking them down. I'm getting a deal. $450 for Christmas tree lights, and I'm getting a deal, and I'm stupid because my wife likes them, so I just go ahead and do what she wants, you know. But holy crap, how are these people making it, Gary? These straight people that just have jobs, you know, $280 for the pool girl, and, you know, the lights. It's crazy.
It is.
And I think that there's going to be a crash. I think that there's going to be a bunch of people laid off in tech. I think there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to be revisiting where they're at and how they're making their money and what they're doing.
You know, just the way the job market has been where, well, COVID lit that up, was everybody that, lost jobs in that. And they're still living off unemployment because it's more profitable to live off unemployment than it is to go back to work. And that is what is going to cause a real crash. If
Yeah.
there is a crash, like you say, and all of a sudden you got tech people looking for jobs, they're not going to be able to afford to pay that much unemployment. So at one point, they're going to say no more. You're not going to be, you've got to have a job to make money.
And I've been following that. I mean, I'm a money guy, an entrepreneur guy first.
Mhm.
Then I'm a marketing guy. Then I'm an investor. Then I'm a coach, whatever. But my crystal ball is that all of the stimulus money ran out in October.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of this unemployment money is dropping off, because I don't know if you know people, but I know people that took the full length unemployment thing and never interviewed for any jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And the government didn't have people that were checking on, hey, are you applying for a job? What
There were too many of them.
And so, like you said, when does that run out for people? Because I know people are getting $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
And they're not applying for jobs.
And it's amazing when you have to think about it and go, where are they getting the money from?
Well, one of the things that I worry about is that they've made the money crazy.
When you say made the money crazy, what do you mean?
Well, when you dump trillions of dollars into the economy, I mean,
oh, you're just talking about totally deflating the value of the dollar.
It's just not worth anything.
You're just printing it.
Yeah, it's just not worth anything.
Mhm.
So, just print it out and give it to people to secure the votes and do all the things that you need to do. But in the aftermath, how much is a loaf of bread? Somebody sent in to the podcast, the Mark Hope Show, somebody sent in a picture of a turkey that was $91. Had a price sticker of $91 on it. Turkey.
I can't. The turkey needs to be like handing me $20 bills if it's cost that much. Literally cooking itself, and before it cooks itself, it needs to hand me $20.
And not only that, it needs to be the size of a Volkswagen. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah. So it is interesting to say the least.
But I appreciate your position about where you're coming from, about not running scared and not worrying about things and not being reactionary. I get that. My hook on to that is, where do we want to be to, most benefit from what's happening?
Do you know what the weirdest thing that I've never seen as long as I've lived? And this is one of the weirdest indicators. And when I was a kid, when I was younger, when I was all the way through college, CDs, it was always the longer the CD was, the higher the interest rate. And now
you're talking about a certificate of deposit, not
exactly
a music thing.
A certificate no, not a musical thing. But yeah, it's interesting.
And I know what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say.
6.5%, 6.64% to put a 6-month CD. But if I want a year one, lock my money up for a year, I only get 4. Now that's got to tell you something. Now, the shallow part is from the thing, oh yeah, it's because, you're going to be guaranteed that for a year. Well, shouldn't that tell you a little bit about what the banks think is going to happen when the longer the time they're going to offer, they're only offering a lower interest rate, but they're willing to pay for short-term money. Remember, interest, all that is a price tag. That is the price tag of money. It's not about earnings. It's the price tag. It's what it costs. That's what money costs.
What you're saying is they're shorting the money.
Exactly. They're shorting the money.
You know, I was talking to somebody that is pretty hooked up, and they are supposing that all of these people that have 3% or less mortgages are going to start being offered buyout deals from the bank.
That would make sense.
Because the carry cost for the money isn't worth it. So
Exactly.
if I owe a bank $100,000 at 3%, 30-year fixed, they'll offer me to pay back 80 of it, and they'll forgive 20,000 just to get out of it and reloan it to somebody else at 8%. So they're trying to dump that 3% money and loan it out to somebody at the higher rate, and they're willing to make a deal to do it. That's crazy. The money is funny. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't make sense what's going on.
Yeah, and both of those things, they're almost contrary to each other. But yeah, it's just, and if you just think about, like I said, the fundamentalistic view of it is that all interest rate is a price tag. That's what money costs to have or to hold. When they're paying you less to have it for a longer period of time, that's got to tell you about what they're scared. They're scared about the long term as much as anybody because they don't know what's going to do.
Well, again, I don't normally have a chance to talk to somebody that I can ask these questions to because everybody I talk to is younger than me. But do you remember going to Mexico on spring break or whatever in the 80s?
Vaguely.
What happened on Cerveza?
I mean, who would go down there sober?
And so was
across
I.
the bridge sober.
And so was I, for sure. But there was a thing where the peso was so inflated that if you did a handful of peso coins to a cab driver, they just throw it out the window and still expect to be paid because it wasn't worth them. A peso was not worth anything. And at that point, a peso, $1, one American dollar was worth 1,000 pesos. And that was the exchange. So what they did was they did an exchange, 1,000 to 1 split into the nueve peso.
Right.
The new peso. 1,000 old pesos were worth 1 nueve peso, the peso we know today. That's worth 17 to, $1 American dollar.
Sure.
Well, imagine if the government of the United States was ready to do that. And they made 1,000 to 1 old dollar split to the nueve American dollar. The new American dollar is digital. So they want to do the digital currency, and it's going to be worth 1,000 to 1 exchange. Can you imagine how fast they could pay off the $31 trillion in debt that they have if it was split 1,000 to 1? If they got a sale and they could pay it off 1,000 to 1.
What do you think that would do to the overall confidence in the American dollar, though?
I don't think they care. I mean,
well, I'm not saying what they care. What do you think how people would react to it? I mean, 95% of the people in this country don't understand economics anyway.
Well, let me tell you something. They're never going to pay it back the way it is.
It's mathematically
because the interest is approaching GDP. I mean, when you're just able to pay the interest with your total domestic product, they're not planning on paying it back ever.
Well, they couldn't if they wanted to.
They're not planning on it.
Yeah.
That's why you can give away millions and millions of dollars to Ukraine. That's why they can do all these programs, because who cares? It's free.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, California was talking about reparations for slavery being $1.2 million per person. Why do you think that they would do that? Because we're going to crash the currency anyways. It doesn't matter. Get whatever votes you need on the way out. So small business is a hedge against inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Gary and I and both of our agencies can help you guys inject some real buying and selling power into your small businesses. And that's what we recommend. We recommend you guys to be starting small businesses, get some help with your marketing, and do some just blocking and tackling, old school, contacting your customers. And then let me show you this. I'll show you one thing before we break off here. After you make some money in that small business, I was house shopping in Oklahoma today for investment real estate, and we'll show them. I'm buying these houses, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house for $130,000. Is that
They
crazy?
get you a garage in Castle Rock.
Is that crazy? You can get a garage for that price. No way.
A small garage.
Yeah. Well, look at this little house right here. This is $172,000.
Oh, gosh,
And
it's crazy.
the buyers are king right now because there's not enough buyers that qualify at 8%. So if you're selling in Denver and coming to Oklahoma, you can sell. This house would be a $400,000 or $500,000 house in Denver.
Oh, easily.
3-bedroom, nice house, fully renovated. So you could buy 3 of these, live in one and rent the other 2. And these houses are renting for $1,300 a month. So, it's how you play and what you do that is more important than what's happening. And that's what
Agreed.
Gary and I are always talking about when we're having our conversation. How do we get the little mom and pop business to be able to sell more? How do we get them to get more customers? How do we let the little guy win? Because, frankly, that's what I do for everyone that I work with. I bully the bully. I don't want the big guy to win. I hate the big guy.
I hate working with big guys.
I hate the bank. I hate the big insurance companies. I want American families to get a fair shake. And I do everything that I can do to help them build businesses, buy properties. Like you said, you're working from home now for yourself, and you're not dealing with, the corporate bureaucracy anymore like you used to. And, that's what we all need to do. We all need to be self-sustaining, get a garden,
I think a lot of people I'll tell you what, it almost hit me a little bit where I was feeling like, gosh, you know what? I am my age. I graduated, right back with you.
Yeah.
Marketing has passed us by. It's like, come on, I learned marketing before computers. I was in college learning how to do COBOL programming.
Basic Fortran.
And by the way, and I failed that course, by the way.
I know.
Let's keep it all up and at him. I'd take it twice.
But you and I were talking about the artificial intelligence. Now we're learning that.
Exactly. It's not too late. Some people think, and I always used to think, guy, once you get to be 50 or 60, you're not learning new stuff. That is so untrue. You know what I've noticed? This is encouragement to anybody out there that's thinking about learning. You do not need to take a course. You need to just go to YouTube. Just like if you want to go to YouTube and find out I learned how to regrout my bathroom and did it on my own because I couldn't find a contractor and I didn't want to wait a year to do it. So I figured out how to do it. It's the same thing with learning this. You can go to YouTube, and guys love to share information. It is better than any college course I ever took. You can,
And that's so true. And I had my staff 2 years ago challenge me, and as a bunch of younger people that I was working with, and still do. But they all challenged me. They said, "Look, you don't know anything about TikTok, and you don't know anything about Musical.ly and how that works, and blah blah blah, and you can't do it." And I said, "I can do it." And they said, "Without help of your staff that do the Mark Hope show, that do all the producing, all that stuff from the radio station, all that stuff, you can't use any of those guys. Just you. You have to learn how to do TikTok and make commercials and content." And I said, "Screw you guys. I'm going to do it. I'm 60 years old. I'm going to do it." And I did it. I was a grandpa on TikTok, and I have got some chops on TikTok now to where I supervise the TikTok models that do commercials for our clients. And I know if they know what they're doing because I did it myself. Cool. And that's the thing. Execute before you perfect, but jump in there, learn it. And who cares if you make a mistake?
And I've been part of that trap too. I've gotten in that trap myself of waiting to get it perfect before I execute it. Big mistake. Big mistake. Yeah, it's better to fall a couple times. At least you're falling forward.
And I always tell my students and my coworkers, my co-investors, everybody I work with, I tell them, we never, ever lose. We either win or we learn. There's no lose. You know, exactly. I'm like Coach Prime for you in Colorado. You know, everybody knows that I'm a Sooner. I'm a Boomer Sooner, but second place, even though my granddaughter goes to CSU, my second place right now is Coach Prime, and the standards that he's putting into those young guys. He's about, we don't lose, we learn. And, you know, when he lost his first game and they put the cameras on him, he said, go ahead. You say whatever you want to say about us now, because this is the worst we're ever going to be. So try to get some now, because this is the worst we're ever going to be. And I love that attitude. I love that attitude of, hey, we're only getting better from here. So take your shot, whatever you want to do.
Cool.
Just very, very cool. And Gary, thanks for the impromptu show.
It's fun.
I know we weren't planning on doing it, but you and I need to do this at least once a month, and we'll talk about the businesses we're helping. I am going to get you booked with Nicole. We do a show every Tuesday at noon. And if you can gel into that one, we'll do a 3-way with her.
I would love
Otherwise, I'll put you on her.
Yeah. Give me just send me a calendar invite to the Tuesday at noon one, and I'll be there.
That's awesome, brother.
Yeah, just send it to me, and I'd love to hook up with you again, just because I'd love some more of your ideas, because I always like listening to people when they're talking about my site, because I'm always missing things and stuff, and what I'm doing. Thrive on. I've never been such an information suck as I am now. I love hearing other people's thoughts about what I'm doing.
Well, and I tell you, I have learned in my old age, just help people. Every morning when I get up, I say, God, who should I help today? And I listen. And I've been given so many resources just because I think the universe likes what I'm doing. And then I go on Gary's website and I'm like, oh, there's a mistake on here. Let me send that to Gary, because, you know, obviously one of his web designers made a mistake or whatever, and he doesn't know. And instead of, you know, you and I are competitors. We're going after the same customers. And instead of being caustic, you know, we help each other and we're positive. And say, hey, Gary, take a look at this. You might, you know, whatever. And he takes it in the form of me wanting to help him, not, oh, what are you trying to do? You know, and, you know, the positivity pays.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I always said my favorite quote of anybody, I will leave you with this quote, is Mark Schlereth. He used to play he was an offensive lineman for the Denver Broncos during both of their Super Bowl wins back in that era. And he had the greatest quote ever. There's two types of people in the world: those who energize the room when they walk in, and those who energize the room when they leave.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother.
That is,
I am going to let the show end on that. Thank you
Thank you, man.
I'm gonna send you the YouTube link, and you can download it and take the content for yourself.
That is awesome, man. Appreciate it, Mark. It's great. We'll talk soon.
What a great guy. We'll see him again.